Tonight, it's official. A dingo took their baby. A coroner finds there's no other explanation for the disappearance of Azaria Chamberlain.
Please accept my sincere sympathy on the death of your special and loved daughter and sister, Azaria. I'm so sorry for your loss.
It's vindication for Lindy and Michael Chamberlain after a 32-year struggle for justice.
Well, no longer will Australia be able to say that dingoes are not dangerous and only attack if provoked.
This has been a terrifying battle, but now some healing and a chance to put our daughter's spirit to rest.
Also tonight, some tough love from the Treasurer with thousands of public sector jobs to be axed.
We have taken our medicine today so we can have a healthy future.
And bring it on, the Maroons roll into town ahead of Origin 2. Good evening, Juanita Phillips with ABC News. It's the final chapter in a mystery which has gripped the nation for more than 3 decades. A Northern Territory coroner today found that baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980. In handing down her finding, Elizabeth Morris came close to tears, offering the Chamberlains her sympathy for the death of their daughter. Christy O'Brien reports.
These are the words that Chamberlains have waited more than 30 years to hear.
The cause of her death was as the result of being attacked and taken by a dingo.
And as the findings were delivered, there were tears and hugs all round, as the family felt justice had finally been served.
We're relieved and delighted to come to the end of this saga.
The family says it always knew the truth about what happened to Azaria Chamberlain at Ayers Rock back in August 1980.
Now some healing and a chance to put our daughter's spirit to rest.
This 4th inquest was called after the coroner was provided with evidence about hundreds of dingo attacks, including the deaths of 3 children. Elizabeth Morris determined that was enough to support changing the record to read what Lindy Chamberlain Creighton has always maintained.
The dingo's got my baby.
And there was an emotional apology from the coroner.
Please accept my sincere sympathy on the death of your special and loved daughter and sister, Azaria. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Ironically, her findings were the same as those delivered at the original inquest 3 decades earlier.
You have not only suffered the loss of your beloved child in the most tragic circumstances, but you have all been subjected to months of innuendo, suspicion, and probably the most malicious gossip ever witnessed in this country.
The years that followed his decision have been described as one of Australia's greatest miscarriages of justice. Lindy Chamberlain Creighton spent 3 years in jail for murder and during that time gave birth to her 4th child. She was finally exonerated after Azaria's matinee jacket was found and a royal commission held.
Sometimes justice takes 32 years, but here it is, and let me tell you, it's worth the effort.
Azaria Chamberlain's death certificate has now been officially changed to reflect the findings and perhaps put to bed once and for all a case which has intrigued the country for more than 3 decades. Christy O'Brien, ABC News, Darwin.
The ABC's Tony Eastley has followed the case from the start. Today he was in Darwin to hear the coroner deliver her findings.
From the outset, the media's focus was extraordinarily intense, and it reached a peak when the Chamberlains were put on trial in Darwin. It was to become the most publicised case in Australian history, and I was sent to Darwin to cover it for ABC TV News. The prosecution says that here, Lindy Chamberlain cut the throat of her baby and husband Michael helped cover up the homicide. It was 1980 when Lindy and Michael Chamberlain took their 9-week-old daughter Azaria and her 2 brothers on holiday to the Northern Territory and made the fateful decision to pitch their tent at the base of the rock. It was to set off a devastating chain of events.
He just might have damaged or mauled the baby, and I ran towards the tent. I was only 5 yards away from it, perhaps. And I looked in a carry basket and she wasn't there.
When we saw the spots of blood in the tent, as we looked, we realised it must have been a very quick event. And this morning when we saw in the blanket the sharp, jagged marks in that very thickly woven blanket, we knew that that was a powerful beast.
An initial inquest supported the Chamberlains and was critical of the police investigation.
It's consistent with the possibility of a dog having taken the baby.
However, after a second investigation and inquest, Lindy Chamberlain was charged and tried for murder.
The court also heard from a London odontologist today, Mr Bernard Sims. He told the court that marks on Azaria Chamberlain's clothing weren't consistent with marks made by a dog or a dingo.
The Crown's case relied heavily on scientific evidence, much of which the defence discredited. The jury, however, agreed with the prosecution, finding Lindy Chamberlain had cut Azaria's throat in the front seat of the family car and disposed of the body. She was sentenced to life in jail. Michael Chamberlain was given a suspended sentence for being an accessory. A heavily pregnant Lindy Chamberlain was sent to prison and gave birth soon after to another baby girl. But there was still a dramatic twist to come. The Chamberlains had always insisted that on the night she disappeared, baby Azaria had been wearing a matinee jacket. The prosecution said that was a lie. In 1986, the matinee jacket was found near a dingo lair at Uluru. The NT government ordered Mrs Chamberlain's immediate release. A year later, a royal commission cleared the couple of all guilt. By now, the Chamberlains had split, but both remained concerned about an unresolved issue: Azaria's official cause of death. A third inquest in the 90s was inconclusive. Then, in February this year, new information about dingo attacks on children was put to yet another coroner. It's this fourth inquest and its outcomes that could finally draw a line under this case, bringing to a close the disappearance of Azaria Chamberlain.
Tony Eastley reporting from Darwin. Here, the Treasurer Mike Baird delivered his second budget.